Good afternoon, everybody. This is Omar Srada with the Tilted Lawyer podcast. I am joined by Leela from PS Studios, and the subject of conversation today, this afternoon, and I've seen Leela on various other live streams, podcasts, doing various things, is to talk about her burgeoning battle with Laura Owens' attorney, David Gingras. It is ongoing, and she's since fought back or hit back after the various other threats that have been made against her. Leela, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. I understand you got somewhere to be, or you got a flight to catch, or you got various things. You're a small business owner, and you were out to conquer the world.
Yes. Never a dull moment these days, especially at the end of Q4. But overall, blessed. Thank you for having me. I appreciate being able to, share our story so that we can hopefully get justice, not just for us, but for others that have been impacted by these false narratives.
Yeah, so I wanted to have you on. Look, I don't want to tell the whole story that you've already told on a dozen other live streams. But I've had personal interactions with this guy. I've spoken to him personally, and the story always goes, when I've spoken with him, oh, he's a nice guy. He's just misunderstood. He's a dick, and he knows it, and he can't help himself, and whatever. But then he turns around, and he's threatening litigation. Every single person that has any kind of entanglement with him, it seems to be the case that they're threatened with litigation and whatnot. And you hosted him at your business because he wanted to film a podcast with his client, and then he posted various false narratives about your business and your studio, and you had to defend yourself. Here's what I think about the guy. If you were to talk to him, if you were to meet him like at a bar somewhere and have a drink with him, this is what he would say. He'd be like, look, number one, you would be impressed that, oh, he's not as slimy as he seems. I mean, I'm sure you probably did actually meet him in person, but he doesn't seem like an inherently bad or evil person. He seems gregarious enough. He might even crack a joke and you might laugh at his dad jokes or whatever. And then he'll say stuff about this case that has been ongoing since June. And he'll say that, yeah, the JFC community and everybody, they're all crazy and they're part of a cult or whatever. And then he'll go out and say that I can't help the way that I come off in text. I can't help the way that I come off on Twitter. I come off like a dick. I know that. I'm really not a dick. I'm really a nice guy. I want you to believe it. And he'll swear up and down that you should view him as a nice guy and accept this proposition that he's misunderstood. I kind of took him at face value. And then I've had several exchanges with him, not regarding litigation that he's threatened. He's not threatened me with litigation, but he has had disagreements with me about legal things. And then just to kind of test the waters, I threw some things out there, and I've discovered in my meanderings with him, oh, okay, so he's not actually serious. so he's not actually going to be debating this seriously. So what's the point of even talking about him? My intent was going to be simply to just, you know what? I'm just going to leave this alone. I'm not going to let him be. He's got his appellate brief, and he's going to win or lose, and he's got his opinions, and we'll see who's right in the end, I guess. And in the midst of all of that, he's threatened my good friend Lauren Knighty with a lawsuit. My understanding is that he's threatened you. He's subpoenaed a post from Reddit for perceived apparent, I guess, potential litigation or whatever. He seems to be on this campaign to tear down, seek out, and destroy anybody that espouses an opinion that runs counter to his client's narratives. In other words, he's 100% fundamentally the definition of a dick. There's no mistaking it. This is who he is. And when you become an attorney, you can use your opinions for good or for bad. And even if the lawsuits are frivolous, it doesn't change the fact that you, as a small business owner, I just heard you use the word, it's the end of Q4, spoken like a true business owner. But, just the proposition of having to fight off even a frivolous lawsuit and all the expenses that come with it and all the anxiety that comes with it and the way that it just kind of disrupts your thoughts. I've been doing this for a long time. I'm kind of used to it, but he knows that it has that effect, and it's had this effect on varying members of the community. But you've since hit him back. Could you explain the bar complaint and everything else?
Yeah, sure. I mean, like I've said so many times, and I'm going to start with this. There is nothing I am more bored of talking about than all of this. I
Yeah.
can't quite convey in words how bored I am of all of it. It's like this stupid nightmare that won't go away. I don't have anxiety because I know I'm not going to lose. I never lose, and
Right.
I'm not about to start now. But it is a huge time wasting activity. So let me just start and lead with that. We've given them so many opportunities to shut this shit down. So
Mm-hmm.
many choices to just make the right decisions. If you make these decisions, you withdraw your AG complaint. Mind you, I'm speaking about his client. I'm not speaking about him in
Yes.
that one. Withdraw that. Give us back the money that we are owed for the studio time that we have clear proof you utilized. You know, I have video of you in my studio for 2 hours. Here's your files. I have proof that I've given you those files. You owe me money. Give us the money back. Give us what has been charged back. And in the process, apologize for your defamatory statement. That's to the lawyer who posted that on Twitter saying that, it was unusable. It was almost like the mics weren't on and all of that nonsense. No, your client lied to you. She did not provide the full truth in giving you files. Had she done that, you would know that everything was more than usable. So the
Has
reason
he
I
since
filed
I'm
the
sorry,
bar
I didn't mean to cut
complaint,
you off.
no worries. The reason I filed the bar complaint was because after he removed his statement on Twitter, he then continued to say that we were attacking his client and he was still taking absolutely no responsibility whatsoever for his actions. And at this point, we've had enough. And more importantly, if some other unsuspecting human were to somehow find his law firm online and hire him to represent them, I don't truthfully believe that he would be somebody that you can trust to do the right thing on your behalf.
Yeah.
And so I don't believe that that's how the law should be used. I don't believe lawyers should abuse their power. Obviously, like there's a lot of responsibility that comes with being a lawyer. As you know, you are one. So I just don't want to see anybody else get taken advantage of. And I believe the state of Arizona, they need to stand up. They need to stand up. The attorney general needs to stand up. The district attorney needs to stand up. And the Arizona bar needs to look at this with a very serious perspective.
Well, that's part of the reason why I have you on my show. Not because you're being threatened by this guy, because I think anything's bad is going to happen to you, but because you are hitting back, and I believe you're going to be victorious, and for the various other reasons that I've told you off air. But it seems to be the case with this guy that he kind of does this thing. He takes a situation and he blows it up, and he blows it up so high. Like with his, I'm sure you read about Laura Owens in this case that's been going on. When he got involved, it was like this. And then before he got involved, it was like this. When he got involved, it turned into this thing. And then everybody started covering it. And then it put such a bad connotation on Owen's name, even worse than it already was. And he exacerbated things because he started bullying people and threatening them. And every time I've
But I
ever
will
seen him threaten
say
anybody,
that they've done it in hand together. So I don't think he deserves all the fall here. He sent us
100%,
the
you're right.
threatening email after the studio, after they leaked that they were here, they accused us of leaking that they had visited my business, to which I responded, you posted on Twitter and that's how people found out. So you can't accuse me of what you did to yourself as being a privacy violation because we didn't post it. We would never post somebody in our studio unless we were allowed to, or, it was somebody really cool and we had gotten permissions, blah, blah, blah. It's not common practice to do.
That
So,
brings me to another point. Like you mentioned that, this started not with him, it started with his client, right? But that's kind of
well,
the
yeah,
other
it definitely
aspect of
started with
being,
her, but he sent us the harassing email to which we blocked. And then moving forward after that, she filed the Better Business Bureau complaint and the AG complaint, and then she filed the chargeback, and then he posted on Twitter. So they are working hand in hand to create
yeah.
their own problems. So it's not just him escalating. I think it's very much a two-prong approach of how can we destroy our lives faster?
You're 100% correct in that. It's look, we're here because of Laura Owens. This is how this whole party got started. She started it and he blew it up. She started it with you and then he blew it up and turned it into this other public thing. The only reason I even know about you is honestly because of him. And the threats that have become against you. And not only has he
Right.
threatened you, I mean, I know, I'm sorry, but he's
Yeah.
threatened others. It's like if you're an attorney and you have a client that's doing those kinds of things, you kind of owe it to them to kind of, you know, calm the rising waters, so to speak. And he's done the opposite of that. And I'm not even sure. You asked for a public apology. Has he issued one?
No, he then came back and said, I'm not saying anything. The studio needs to apologize. It's their alarming behavior or something of that nature. We don't need to apologize for you defaming us, for you financially defrauding us, your client financially defrauding us. We don't need to apologize for the countless hours and now money that we've spent to get this entire thing sorted out. You owe us an apology. You're out to attack a small business because what, you don't like the fact that we communicated with people who don't agree with what has been going on in your client's life legally? Well, guess what? There's a lot of people out there who aren't going to like me. There's a lot of people out there who aren't going to like you. At the end of the day, you just kind of have to keep moving on with your life and do what you have to do. But that doesn't mean you need to go and attack everybody who sees something differently.
For your own edification, I think you should be aware. Look, I'm aware of kind of the gist of what's gone on. They're accusing you of providing bad audio files or whatever, but I am not a professional podcaster. I have a YouTube show. I've had to learn this stuff on my own. And so I'm aware that there's audio files and video files, and you don't use the audio files from the camera. You have like a separate thing, and you put them together. And so I knew that, he knew that. The facts are not in his favor, but he continues to argue them. And the fact that you have provided him this positive evidence that you're in the right, he's not backing down. In this Owens case, she's allegedly faked a pregnancy, right? She went to trial, she lost. And even though he's lost at trial, even though he's been presented with mountains of evidence that his client has lied, he's still not backing down from this idea that, hey, maybe Laura Owens is not lying. Maybe she was telling the truth all along. And he's trying to argue the fact after it. Even when I had my little spat with him, when we were going back and forth about legal arguments, and he's trying to convince me that 25-324 doesn't apply to his case because it's ineligible because of the chapter laws or whatever, I cited like 21 different cases where it was relevant, and the specific law that says that this was a thing, and how she checked the box that said parenting time that implicates those sanctions. And then his response to me was, well, I'd like to tell you why you're wrong, but I'm not gonna. You're wrong for reasons unforeseen. It's like, okay, so this is not a serious person. It's like you're literally jousting with a 12-year-old that is like on the schoolyards, and it's true because his daddy said it was true, and you don't have to know my reasons, but I'll tell you, one day you're going to know my reasons. You're going to be sorry. And so the act, and right. I could see it in your face, the act and the exhaustion of having to deal with this bullshit. This is what so many other people have dealt with for months now. And the fact that you're here to highlight it is kind of what happens when you punch back. Now, since you've punched back, you've threatened him with various other things. You have filed a bar complaint against him. There's one of multiple bar complaints for various other people, judges, the unsuspecting public, JFC, and other attorneys, I believe. I don't know all the comprehensive list, but a number of bar complaints. There are people that are pushing back and hitting back, and he continues to do these things. And what do you make of an individual like that? Because you as a person with common sense.
My question isn't what I make of him. It's really what I make of the justice system. How is this still ongoing? How are there more people who are being victimized by these two individuals and there's no repercussions being served? How is the justice system this slow to act in protecting the people who vote them into office? That is the question that I have. I think there's always going to be bad actors, and unfortunately we're dealing with two in this scenario, as everybody who's been following this for way longer than I've been involved realize. Yeah. But I also think that sometimes it's really hard for people with large egos to admit defeat. And that's just something that I don't think either of them mentally want to do, which is why taking ownership of, I was wrong, I messed up, I pushed this too far, is something that they so far have not been willing to do. And that's what's led us to continue to take the necessary actions that we have to take to protect our reputation, my business, my team, my livelihood.
Well, I'll tell you what, that you ask a deeper question. How is it that she's able to victimize all these people? Why is the justice system so slow to act? The reality of it is, most of the time, these things happen in a vacuum. It's not this big public thing. And like the hands of justice are slow to move for sure. But the reality of it is that his client has already lost. He's the one that represented her at trial. He lost. He's got this appeal. Every attorney that's looked at it with any kind of seriousness, including myself, including other judges, including other attorneys, have said that it is a losing appellate argument. Like, what are we doing? And he's standing on, whatever he's standing on. He disagrees, I guess. But no, everybody's of the opinion he's going to lose. He disagrees. Fine. If he loses his appeal, then what's to say? He's going to move on to whatever. Owens is being investigated by the DA for lying in court and perjury and things, and she's facing jail time. Who knows what's going to come of that? So there are things in motion where all of this is coming to a head. The appeal is going to be over. The DA is going to make a decision, and stuff like this that's happening to you, where she's not just bullying these two people at this point. It's not just Gillespie and Maricini and Eckerd. At this point, JFC has had opinions, and they've seen how this is kind of shaked out, and they've had opinions they've made public. Opinions, by the way, that run counter to hers, and he seems to be going after anybody that has opinions that are of the opinion that Owens has done anything wrong or that he has said anything wrong. And that's just how it's going to be. And where does it end? It ends with him losing his appeal. And it may end with her facing criminal charges from perjury. If that doesn't happen, I don't know if she's going to go to jail or not. I don't know if she's going to get charged or not. But they continue to make this case where she seems to be obsessed with this set of facts. There isn't any evidence that proves that she was not lying. There is evidence that proves that she did lie. There's admissions that she lied, that she testified to. And so we have that. And the more that this continues to branch out, the more that he continues to threaten people with these things, and the more that it is surrounding this subject matter, where she is being investigated for criminal wrongdoing, insofar that she lied about the subject of what we're talking about, then it increases the likelihood that she's going to have severe consequences. I was of the opinion a couple of months ago that this case was going to go away, that Gingras was going to lose the appeal, that Owens was probably going to get charged, that I didn't think she was going to get jail time and she was going to get an admonition slap on the wrist. Maybe she learned her lesson and everybody would move on. But what they actually did was, imagine, Layla, you are a sharp person. Let me just ask your opinion, your question. Let me just ask you this. I'm your attorney, okay? I want to ask you what you would think. If you're being investigated for perjury, and I told you to go out and do a live stream on the subject matter where you perjured yourself, would you heed my advice?
I mean, that seems absolutely illogical to me, but once again, we're not dealing with logical people. So my opinion on this has absolutely no weight.
The point is that you have an attorney that has a client that's being investigated for perjury, and rather than calming everybody down, he's dropped an atom bomb on it all, and he's exponentially escalated everything to the point where it appears where maybe the DA may have turned the other cheek, or not the other cheek. What I'm trying to say, turn her back on all of this and just kind of let it be. Maybe now, with as much public scrutiny as it's getting, and with as many times as they continue to threaten innocent people, and extend this out from the two ground zero victims or three ground zero victims to all of these other people that had nothing to do with the underlying incidents, maybe the DA should step in and do something. And that's really up to them.
And you know what? I actually had that conversation with my husband earlier. I said, here's the thing of why potentially my complaints might get a little bit of attention is that I never slept with said female, right? We never had a romantic relationship. I am a small business, and she is avidly attacking me and falsely claiming that we were acting not in good faith, or that we didn't provide what we said we were going to provide, right? So this now takes a different turn that hopefully the district attorney will be able to look at and say, these people are just basically on a warpath to try and, hit anyone that they can in the path. And now we need to really start to make some decisions and move a little bit quicker. Not because I'm more important than any of them, but just because there are no gray lines here. I was never romantically linked to her. We were never friends. I did not know
Yeah.
this person until she walked into our office.
Well, that to me is, it should be its own exhibit. The fact that you're just a small business owner had nothing to do with this. And all you ever wanted was, look, hey, whatever y'all are into, I'm out. All right. I don't want anything to do with it. I didn't know all that was going on. I'd rather just stay out of it. And then they're like, bullshit. Look at these audio files. This was unusable. And they start making defamatory statements against you
The
guys.
best part, Omar, is I was in Texas. I wasn't even there. I have not even met these people. I have not even watched all of their stuff. My team was the one executing and doing that, as they most of the time are, because I'm on the road all the time visiting
Yeah.
our clients that are all over the country. So, it's very rare that after a walk-in, I get an email being like, "Oh my gosh, this is erupting." Like, this was the last thing that any of us could have predicted.
Yeah.
And that's why I tell you, I'm so tired of talking about it.
I feel you. And as a person who's been tired of talking about this since like June,
Yeah.
I've tried to remove myself from these conversations over and over, but then he starts coming after my friends, and then he like makes a video about me, so I have to make him a little love letter back. And then now I'm talking about you and trying to defend you, and look at this.
And I appreciate the heck out of it. I truly do. Everybody on this online community, I've been astounded by their kindness and their genuine willingness to stand up for what is right. It is clear here that we are being victimized
Yes.
with an agenda, an ill-minded agenda from both of them. And so I want to say thank you to anyone, you, to Lauren, to Dave Neal, the JFC Instagram, who's been so sweet in helping raise money so that we can adequately battle this and hopefully once and for all shut this door down.
Well, here's what I will say. Here's what I'll say about that. Justice is a funny thing. Sometimes, you're splitting hairs between who's right or wrong. But when you have a situation where like 99% of the people objectively views the facts of a case and they've determined that what's going on is wrong, and they see innocent people being attacked and taken down and all these other things, they seem to band together and protect those that have been unfairly attacked. Like, you had no idea that the second that this happened to you, you have like a whole community of people like, oh, no. Let me tell you, look, this isn't a big deal. This is what's going on. And they're ready
like,
here to be to your aid.
Here, hold my beer.
Yeah, hold on. Wait till you get a load of this. So...
Yeah, they're like, here's what's going to happen. And I remember when Dave Neal gave me the playbook of this is how this is all going to go down. I was like, oh,
yep.
Great. This is
well, he's been through it himself. Like,
to be in the circus.
He was like the first person that they threatened with a lawsuit. And like, Gingras said that he's going to make him homeless and all this other stuff. And none of that ever came to fruition.
Again, you're an attorney. You cannot go around talking to people like that. That's insane.
You know that.
In my personal professional opinion. I have never once said anything horrible and demeaning about either of these two, despite all of the shit they've been putting me through. I would never wish somebody to be homeless. I would never, those thoughts would never cross my mind. But you are a legal professional in the middle of a legal case, and you find that kind of rhetoric to be acceptable within your profession. That to me says almost everything you need to know.
Here's what I'm sympathetic to. Like, look, I practice in this arena. I live my life in this adversarial community where everybody's against everybody and everybody's attacking and threatening and all this kinds of stuff. I'm aware of the anxieties that come with it. And even you and I talking and just hearing some of your questions, I could tell it's something that you put a lot of thought into, and you're scared of certain things and you're not scared of certain things, and you're wondering if you should do other things, and you have a lot of questions. And the fact that it's occupied that level of mental space just because some dipshit makes some frivolous argument or complaint against you and threatens you with things, that's the effect that it has on people. I watched Lauren. She was being accused of other things, and I see her on her live stream today, and she's like resigned. Not that she thinks that she did anything wrong, but just that she's having to like defend herself against this bullshit. And for how long? Because the guy has like he could file a lawsuit at any time. Not that he's going to win. It's just the knowledge that it may come down, and when it comes down, it's going to be this whole thing. Well, I have the money to be able to resources to defend myself. And, this is the big 22-year-old copyright law attorney, which makes him fundamentally a dick. He's bullying people and he's threatening people, and he's doing it without basis to do it. And I feel like it's this. It's like, I don't know anything about the guy. I just feel like he is only comfortable talking one kind of a way, and he has no ability to be human, just be regular with folks, because to be regular is to not stroke his ego. Maybe he's got severe insecurities about who he is as a person, or what people think about him. And the fact that he's this big attorney gives him
Big attorney? Big?
well,
I think
in
that's
his
a
mind.
large overstatement.
Think when I say big, think of
I
Trump's
think
idea of
it's
crowd
small as
sizes.
humanly possible.
He is an attorney, and that gives him in his mind some points against everybody else.
Yeah,
You know
absolutely.
what I mean?
It takes a lot to get through law school, and it takes a lot to pass the bar. We give you all credit for sure.
Yeah, good for that. Congratulations. Yay. You know, you could pass the
But
test.
then
I did
after
the
that,
same.
there's got to be an understanding that you chose this profession to do the right thing.
I just had this conversation today with another individual about what makes a good attorney. And I said that, look, you can have all the smarts in the world. You could be all these things, whatever. Fine. You're going to know the law. You're going to pass the bar. You're going to do these things. But what really makes a good attorney is being human. You just have to have an understanding of humanity and empathy, and when to throw punches, when to pull your punches, when to match energy, when to not threaten people, when not to bully people. Because look, too many attorneys are getting this profession, and all they want to do is win. And their ego is stroked by being in the right and being here, and you're down there. And the fact that people, I hear it all the time, oh, he knows more than me because he's an attorney. He doesn't know that much more than you. I promise you, you don't. And the things that he's telling you guys, most of the time is fundamentally wrong. There's like pockets of truth where you'll hear people say, oh, he might have a point there. He may have this or that. But fundamentally, they're frivolous lawsuits. I haven't seen him win anything with regards to this case or these threats. And the more that I continue to cover this stuff, it's getting worse and worse. And I don't know what that's a product of. I don't know if it's because he wants the attention. I don't know if he likes people talking about him. But it's getting to the point where yesterday I got these text messages and this email from other just random folks worried because this subpoena from Reddit or whatever, they were wondering if everybody or more people or more subpoenas were coming, or if he had a secret master plan. They're living in fear, and it's causing splintering in this community that has been built over this need or call to justice because of the evils that they've perceived Owens commit against these two individuals, the ground zero of it all, right?
But
And so,
here's the thing, to everybody watching who has that sense of fear, you got to remember that the light is going to win, and that at the end of the day, if you really truly haven't done anything wrong, like that's how I know I haven't done anything wrong. I'm operating a business, trying to pay my team and continue to grow. That's the only thing that I've done in this entire thing. And now I decided to, instead of sitting there on the sidelines like a silent little duck, open my mouth and start punching back, because this is bullshit. So if you're falling into one of those categories, don't lose sleep. That's all I got to say.
don't lose sleep. And until he actually does anything, definitely don't lose sleep. If you are threatened, if you are, you're contacted personally, he starts making these cease and desist, and he wants to subpoena the Reddit post where you made an outline of the video that I did or whatever. Hey, man, take a deep breath, gather yourself. You're going to be okay. There's a whole community of people that have dealt with this and been dealing with this for months. We kind of know the playbook at this point.
Think about this. If the person he's defending has been able to so far get away with everything that she's gotten away with, these folks have nothing to worry about.
I know. Oh, totally. His client is definitely in the right. She lost a trial, fined $150,000, maybe facing jail time. That's the guy you want to listen to. And he's continuing to defend her and go on this rampage. Look, you guys are going to be fine. I know it's real scary. It is. But the reality of it is, so far, a lot of this.
Get your freaking boxing gloves and put them on.
Hell yeah. I'm down. I'll step in the ring. I'm ready. I'll dust them off from like 20 years ago. Let's do it. No, I mean, in all seriousness, I just don't want
I'm
people.
So exhausted that like my ridiculous,
You're good.
side has now come out. The politically correct side is like, oh, she's got to take a nap.
She definitely needs to take a nap.
She'll be back tomorrow with the politically correct. But today, yeah, the gloves are definitely on. I'm sick of being,
I don't run a politically correct show, Yeah, you're welcome to say whatever you feel, man. You're fine. You're going to be good. Look, I know that you're tired. I know these people are tired. I'm looking at some of these comments. You guys are they're tired of it all.
Look at some of these. I'm curious.
I guess my big comment to all of you is just simply this. I look, there's been a lot of things going on within the JFC community. I feel like one of the playbooks of this guy is to threaten and bully and cause dissension, and it has. Some of you guys have cracks. And some of you guys have contacted me about various things that have nothing to do. They're like red herrings. Everybody just needs to take a deep breath. Just relax a little bit. Let these things play out, and stop the infighting. Whatever is going on with whatever that is, stop the infighting. Let it go. We're all on the same team here. I assume that the team is supposed to be that we're all in this for justice and to support each other. Whoever is going to be attacked by this group of people. We got Owens, we got Gingras. They're over here. They're doing all these things. Whatever. We banded together because you guys thought that justice was on this side and that they were running counter to it. So when he comes for you guys by name or by alias or otherwise and threatens these things, there are people in your corner that will go to bat for you and vehemently. I don't know if you've ever seen Bruce Morgan get pissed off, but it's like you're getting yelled at by your dad. And he goes on these rants. I have gotten into it. I've taken a more measured approach. But look, I've tried to engage him up here and have intellectual discourse, and it like just dropped. It just wasn't worth the time. So I stopped covering it. And for people like you, I'm proud of you. I was really, really impressed. I told Lauren to say, hey, that lady is something. She said the same thing about you, by the way. Everybody's impressed with you because you've been threatened and you've hit back and you haven't just sat around and let it happen. And the reality of it is the facts are in your favor and they haven't done what you've asked. And so they're going to face what they face. And that's
100%.
no,
I mean, that's the thing, that no matter what, the facts are the facts. You paid for something, you used that something, I provided you the end result of that service. You then defamed me publicly. You then harassed me through the Better Business Bureau and the Arizona Attorney General. And then you fraudulently defrauded my business financially with a credit card chargeback, to which I still have not gotten an email saying, hey, I'm just going to pay you the money and get this over with, so that this doesn't escalate into what it could go into much further, because that is illegal in the state of Arizona, which is where we're operating. So, like I said, I'm not out here trying to file a lawsuit and continue to like put flames on this fire, but I will get my money back and justice will be served. And, they need to never speak of me, my business, or anyone on my team ever again. And until we reach that point, well, you'll keep seeing me on these things because I'm not gonna shut up about it.
well, I think that we could summarize that by just simply stating they should choose their next moves carefully because there will be consequences and repercussions. You're not just going to sit around and let them just run buckshot over there.
No, and if anyone who's
support.
watching has a couple of bucks and wants to donate to our legal fund so that we are prepared and ready to go with more than just our district attorney complaint and our bar complaint, we would so appreciate that. The link is on our Twitter page, which I just created yesterday, so I don't even know what our Twitter handle is, but
Oh, I was going to say, you could drop that in the comments. I would pin the thing. I'll put it in my description.
Somebody's got to know. Somebody in this chat's got to know what my Twitter
I know somebody will pop up with it. As soon as I get it, after we go off air here, I'll post it. Make sure everybody know. Oh, Bruce is Johnny on the spot with it. Bruce from Oregon, PS Studios, Give Send Go. There's the Give Send Go.
Amazing.
PS Studios. There it is. Bruce is telling me to pin it like I even know how to do that.
Bruce, you're such a boss.
I think I got to go to the YouTube page. I will pin that. Oh, let me just make sure I don't have an echo here when I do this. Yeah, Bruce is
okay. I'm gonna respond back. I was wondering if Aloe trolled Layla's friend list and saw Greg's wife. So here's the thing: I wholeheartedly believe that when they booked their studio time, nobody had any idea that I know Ashley Ford. And like I said, I wasn't even there in the state of Arizona when they came in to record. So it wasn't some kind of, hey, like let's shake hands and get to know each other kind of deal. And if you go and you're looking for podcast studios in Arizona, we are one of the top things to come up. So I think that she probably was looking for something kind of close by to wherever they're located, sent an email to book, we booked it, and then that was that. I think the afterwards of me stating, yes, I do know Ashley Ford, that probably added some fuel to her fire and probably pushed the Better Business Bureau and AG complaints a little bit further, just a bit out of vengeance. Like I said, I think that's mostly how they're acting, is vengeful. But I don't think that there was prior knowledge to that, because to be completely fair, I think Ashley and I think Greg are wonderful people, but we are not like best friends by any means. We've been to some charity events together.
Mm.
She is a charity partner when we do events. Like, her company has been really super supportive. I have nothing but wonderful things to say, but it's not like if you go onto my Instagram that we have 40 pictures together. I don't think we have any. So it would be kind of tough to put two and two together to answer that one.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I think that as soon as you said that, hey, I don't want any part of this, I just learned about all this, I don't want no part of it, they automatically just lumped you into, oh, they are now JFC. But then it's like, you literally, that's all you said. That's all you said. And I'll tell you what, as a business owner myself, the first time you ever get one of these chargebacks, I know it's probably not your first, but it is
No,
like
it is my first. It is my first. I actually
really.
explained this to Lauren the other day. So my husband owns a payment processing company, and so he deals with things like this. And so I understand what the payment, the chargeback game is, and how people, most of the time, they just don't recognize the charge. In his company is based in insurance. So, oh, hey, I got charged, once a
Yeah.
year for this policy. I'm going to go dispute it because I forgot I signed up for it, kind of thing, right? Your life insurance, for example. And then they have to come back and say, no, they signed this paperwork, they signed up for this policy, they have to submit it to the bank, and then the bank says, yep, that wasn't fraud, here you go, we're going to have to reinstate this money. So I do know how they work, but I personally, as a business, have never had one. We've been in business for 14 years. The amount of disputes in any realm I can count on one hand that we've had, and nothing of this nature ever. And we've had, celebrities and really cool big name people in our studios.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
not like
yeah.
we're playing in the little leagues or anything, but yeah. So yeah, that was our first one, to answer that in a very long way.
The way that you've come to find that out too is like you got the money, you probably already spent the money, put it to bills or whatever. Then they just, oh, we're gonna just debit this $350 right out. And if you want to, they charge back. If you want to fight it, then send a letter to whatever. And it sucks.
Yeah, well,
I've had it.
They have till January 10th, the banks, to decide how they want to proceed with that. But what we have is a running Dropbox folder of all of our evidence. And so every single day, new pieces of evidence get dropped into this Dropbox link. And for all of these complaints that they filed against us in different realms, I put that Dropbox link into every response, so that no matter when someone opens it, the evidence is current and it's fresh and it's mounting.
That's a smart way to do it, because otherwise they'll have you like piecemeal all that stuff together, and then you're limited in how many attachments. And I've had that before. Like, I had like a $6,000 chargeback once because it was a client that like the guy was off his rocker. Like he paid like for a retainer, and then we like went through his whole case, and then he just tried to charge it back, like thinking it was gonna work. It's like but the way that you found that out was like they just take the money out of your account. It's like, holy shit, where does $6,000 go? And I come to find out that this was a thing. That was my introduction to chargebacks. It's not fun. It really sucks.
That's not fun.
When it happens with your with your business. And so at any rate, we've been going for about 40 minutes. I know you got things to do. I just wanted to, hey, Chris, thank you so much for the $10. Copyright sitch of the full audio. Love yours. What does that mean? Copyright sitch of the full audio? Layla, any ideas? No?
Okay, so do I own the audio and video? Omar, you actually commented and said, don't release anything. I don't know who owns it at this point, right? Because they paid for something that means typically that that's theirs now, but then they didn't pay for it because they just charged it back and the money's been taken out of my account. So technically, do you own it? I don't know, because unfortunately, I'm not a lawyer. I wish I was. Probably would have been way wealthier if I was. However, you said don't do anything. So that was never my intention. My intention was never to release it. Like I said, I haven't even watched it because I don't have 2 hours to waste sitting there listening to that dialogue.
Yeah. Well, I said that just not knowing anything about the situation is generally a bad idea to do stuff like that unless there's specific stuff in your contract that says that when you record at our studio, that this is unequivocally ours and we can do with it what as we want, reproduce it as we see fit, whatever. It's not that kind of language. If it doesn't exist, then you could get in, and it's a bad idea. That's all I said. That's all.
100%. And I'm not trying to get into that gray area because that is one of those things that oh, I'm not trying to provoke them, and then I go release the content. Well, that's very provoking. I'm not an idiot, and I don't need any legal professional who's looking into this to say, hey, you're just trying to pour more fuel onto this fire.
Yeah.
If you were really trying to get resolution and justice, then you wouldn't be acting as petty as they are. And so I'm not going to drop to that level. That's my official stance on that entire thing. But out of curiosity, I was like, well, they
Hmm.
don't technically own it if they didn't pay for it. So
It's honestly enough just to know that it exists. Like if I was his attorney, like I mean he's attorney, but if I was representing him, just the fact that I know that you have it would be enough. I don't need you to post it. I would agree. He's like, look, you need to get out of this. I would tell him you need to drop this as quickly as possible. Apologize, do whatever you got to do. Obviously, it was a misunderstanding, right? But that's what reasonable people would do. They've chosen to go a different way.
they
So
have. There was one other thing
yeah,
I was going to tell you about that. Man, I just forgot. Oh, jeez. I mean, at the end of the day, like I said, the audio is perfectly clean. I think that they must have said something in there and that they aren't good enough at cutting clips out of the video for whatever it is that they said that they don't want to make public. So they decided to make up the excuse and then throw us under the bus because
I
there's
mean
a
that's
lack of
just such a that's
editing.
just I've never understood. Like okay, they must have the entire audio file. Like they have it. They can't
Oh,
not
yeah,
know that it doesn't exist. Like they have it. I'm sure
they
you've
do.
given it to them. Not just so they got the video file that has an audio track on it, I'm sure, and then the audio file on top of it. If they know that it exists, I just don't understand why they're persisting. That's my problem with these people. It's just like it doesn't matter how much truth you lend to your argument, they're going to ignore it and just say whatever they want. And at what point does that not become defamatory? And in your case, I think if anybody has been defamed in this case, it's been you by them
Completely.
representing that you have done shitty work in the audio files or whatever they're trying to say, which is preposterous. So all they need to know is that you have the audio files and you will produce them forthwith if they are
Well,
subpoenaed by a
fun
legal
fact,
entity.
yeah, all of the evidence that we have supplied to all of these different claims that have happened, the ones that they filed against us, and then the ones now that we filed against them, those files are damn well linked. So
Yeah.
if any of those, I think we're at four right now, two that they've come on to me, no, three that they've put onto me, and then there's the two that I've put out in defense of ourselves. And if any of those things come to fruition, come to light, those files will be out into the open and there will be
Yep.
nothing that either of us can do about it because they are exhibits in being able to show that the quality of our work is top notch and that these baseless claims and these defamatory statements are just that defamatory with ill intention.
Yeah, I would advise them to just say I'm sorry and move on. That's what I'd advise
Yeah.
them to do.
Right? That'd be so
That's
great.
honestly
Oh
what
my
they
God. If
should
I
do.
could talk about something else next week, I would love to.
Oh, well, I guess we'll see. Maybe next week there'll be other breaking news. Hopefully it's not involving stuff that they're trying to do to you. But look, you
Next
got a
week, we're going to
whole,
hear back from the attorney general and they're going to drop it. We're going to get our money back from the bank and they're going to say, you win. And the bar is going to call us back and say, we've reviewed your evidence and we're going to continue investigating this. And that will be enough victory for me for next week by week, baby.
we're just going to speak it into existence. Maybe this
We
will
are.
all be wrapped up by next week. How about that? And then the appeal will be decided upon or whatnot. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. But
I
hey,
think that's going to take some more time, but we can
that
only
is going
hope.
to take more. I was speaking in jest, but I just want you to know, as I want everybody that's watching this to know, if you've been threatened by these people, you know you have an entire community supporting you. Take a deep breath, gain your bearings, figure some stuff out, talk to some folks, people like myself, people like Dave, people like Megan, like Legal Vices, Lauren Knighty. I don't know, you've probably been contacted by like a dozen different people trying to help you, and you probably had to turn down some of them. And so I appreciate you coming on here. And just so you know, if there's anything you possibly need from myself or anybody else, don't hesitate to ask. I will be here along with many, many others.
Well, I've got your direct phone number now. Thank you so much for everything,
Ma'am.
Omar. And to everybody who supported us, I appreciate you all. And I'm sure you'll hear from me again in the next couple of days with excellent, upbeat, positive news.
Speaking in existence now. I never believed that was a thing. Do you think that's a thing? Like what is it even called? Like the happening. What is it called? The
Law of
secrets.
attraction? Law of attraction.
Yes. Do you believe in that?
Okay,
Is
okay.
that a
See,
thing?
it's a double-edged sword because I never attracted this psycho shit into my life. So
Oh, maybe not. Maybe you didn't attract the psycho shit, but you attracted the fight, which is going to have specific ramifications for the development of your character, which will benefit you in the future. Maybe that's how you got to look at it. I don't know.
oh yeah, for sure. I mean, it just sharpens the knife. So
Sharpening, yeah, iron sharpens iron, as they say. But all right, folks, we got to get going. Layla, I know you got to get going. It's been fun. We had a fun little chat.
good times,
And I
good
wish
times.
you well.
Everybody got to see my my intense side.
I know you're unhinged. This is Layla unhinged on the Tilted Lawyer.
My team actually got some B-roll of me today in office. They were filming something, and I had lost it. Somebody had sent me a message, and I was like, you know what? I'm really fucking sick of all this shit. And I was like, okay, you can post that on the Instagram. That's actually kind of funny.
That should actually be your intro. That should have been the intro for this show. I'm fucking sick of it all. God damn it. I hate it.
I'm bored of this. All right, guys. I'm gonna jump off. Have a great night.
All right, folks. You all have a good afternoon. We will see you guys next time. Bye-bye.